Hi, Ahmed. Can you hear me? No? I'm gonna dial again.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Ahmed. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, Fabio. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Fasima, Taha, I see you. Jingish. So I was having sort of like technical difficulties, with my mic. That's why, I've joined late, tried to fix it. Alhamdulillah. Luckily, I get it
Uh,
fixed. And thank you, Fabio, for joining early. So I appreciate it. So, guys, just give me a couple of minutes to make sure, like, who would be joining to give them some time, to join us. Is that be all right? Yeah. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm going to share my screen while the rest will be joining. So just give me a sec, please. So do you see the screen so far, guys?
Yes, we can have it.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Just give me a sec. Okay. I think we can start, yeah? Okay, first of all, thank you so much indeed. I believe today is an exceptional day. It's an International PMO Day. So happy International PMO Day 2026, everyone. I'm so excited for you today, showing up live. And this is today is all about, sharing your wins, your breakthroughs and success over the last year. So even feeling down vulnerable together. So this is really a safe masterclass, and for 2.5 hours, inshallah, it's gonna be insightful, it's gonna be practical, and it's gonna be applicable. So what teaching today, we're gonna walk through the masterclass and the action need to be taken. You could apply it straight away by tomorrow morning if you will. All right. So you hear my voice, yeah? The voice is clear? All right.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Fabio. Okay, so today masterclass is gonna be all about from reporting office to a value engine. So this is precisely for the GCC or the MENA region, for a PMO transformation leaders, giving them the blueprints and strategies and framework to be successful and derive unquestionable, undeniable strategic impact and business value. So it's going to be around 2.5 hour masterclass, live workshop, okay? An action toolkit you can use and apply by Monday. All right. So welcome everyone to the International PMO Day. So before we get a deep dive into our today masterclass and what we're going to cover today, I just would like to reflect on my PMO, consulting practice I built over the last year. So it was really rewarding journey. I built different flagship and service offering that really serve the GCC and the PMO transformation leaders, to position themselves and to position the PMO function as a strategic business partnership and drive sustainable business value. So And on the left is something a bit of about myself as a bio. So I'm not here to impress you or to show or brag of my expertise. However, the masterclass today, what you're gonna walk away is a proven 5-step framework to transform your PMO into strategic business value. And we're gonna touch base the value proof path, a portfolio feasibility model, okay? And a 90-day action or sprint plan, you can start Monday morning, so if you will. And we're gonna take you through the 6 practical tools to keep and use immediately during the 2 workshops we're gonna work together. So before anything else, I would like to stress the notion that this class or master class, sorry, for who? Is precisely for a PMO transformation managers or directors who run a PMO, but they often struggle to prove their value to the strategic leadership. So they want the framework that really makes their impact impossible to ignore. So, and even this is for an strategy and portfolio leaders, those who has or managing a complex portfolio of pipelines, and they need a structured way to communicate delivery, confidence, and strategic alignment to the leadership, so that they will earn and keep their strategic, table. And also, this masterclass is going to be for the PMO transformation leads or leaders, those who are often building or scaling or elevating a PMO function, and they need the right blueprints and business model or the tools, okay, and the narrative or the story how to win executive sponsorship over and over again. So it's not like only just securing a budget for a PMO within 90 days, however, for 6 months, for 1 year, and consistently securing the budget and having the trust and moving the needle forward so that the leadership, they will trust them now and forever. So this is the map for today. As I said, it's going to be 2.5 hour maximum. So today, I welcome you, the PMO transformation leader, strategy delivery for PMO transformation. You name it, whatever title or role or business function you're driving through the PMO mandates. So today is your day. Today we are here to celebrate the International PMO Day, and it's gonna be like 15 minutes, okay? And we're gonna spot or uncover the PMO reality check, okay? Then we move through the second step, around 25-minute maximum. We're gonna touch base why PMO failing today, and the crisis no one even talk about. And I'm going to take you through the PMO, minimum about progress, approval framework. It's a 5 steps to strategic business value. It's all about a business-driven engine that really drive the company moving forward and sustain your value so that you could really earn and keep your seat at the strategic table. Then we're going to go through a workshop, scoring your PMO value right now, live. We're going to spend like 20 minutes. I believe I shared the resources already before. However, I'm going to put them in the chat right now. Okay. And if I miss, please, someone who could really just remind me. I'm going to share all the resources again here in the chat. So to make sure we're going to take action through this workshop together, through the 2 workshops. And 25 minutes we're going to spend around a portfolio, a model. I call it the value proof path. It's all about proving your value to the leadership through a portfolio feasibility, okay, at the C-suite executive, at the leadership. And the workshop is going to be around mapping your stakeholder appetite. You need to understand where they are, who they are, their influence and appetite, so that you could really making sure you're driving a frictionless environment and you're driving value and you're driving a positive relationship with the key stakeholder so that they will support your journey moving forward. At the end, the last 15 minutes, we're going to have, we're going to work together through your 90-day sprint, an action toolkit, okay, and a special offer for you guys. All right. So let me just give me 1 second, put the resources for you before we move forward. So let me know when you receive them, yeah? All right.
Yeah, we received it.
Okay. So the slide is visible, right, guys?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so the PMO crisis nobody talk about. So I'm gonna take you through a very fact and strategic, like statistics I've been gathering from approval reports across, the last 10 years or a decade. However, this is the reality, okay? And the problem around those kind of numbers or figures is not about your team, it's not about your competency, it's not about your tools, and it's not even about your talents. Mostly, or most likely the case, the problem is that when no one knows what the PM is actually worth. So it's all about positioning, proving, communicating, and owning your PMO value to the leadership. So 70%, for instance, today of the PMOs are perceived as cost center, administrative overhead and red tape. They don't often drive a tangible business value, leadership they can see, they can feel it, they can trust it. Okay. And also 3 in 5 PMO directors cannot really articulate their strategic ROI. So this is also a gap around positioning and communicating the value or proving the value, okay, within 90 days, with 6 months, with 1 year, and forever. However, this is going to be changes for today. You don't need to worry about it. The last PMO crisis, however, there is around 2 million plus dirham or dirham, yeah, has been wasted annually in the PMOs. That do not move the needle forward. They don't drive traction. They don't show value, okay? And they often perceive as a cost center rather than a strategic business partner and a value engine drivers. All right. So these figures and this statistic, which is really reflecting the reality, is going to be changed today with you. So before we go deep dive to the rest of the masterclass and we hit to the first workshop, I would like just to introduce to you. Most of you might know already the PMO MBV. This is my proven business-driven system. I designed it over the last 1 year of Run PMO Consulting, and I've been using over the last decade in different enterprises, public, private consulting, and nonprofit organizations. It's all about driving sustainable business value within 90 days. Okay, so simply speaking, it's a 5 steps. It starts with building the foundation. The foundation is all about building yourself as a PMO leader before building anything else. Before building the governance, the framework, the methodologies, and solution or service offering, you need to build or to assess your leadership capabilities, okay, from spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional readiness. That really help you to understand the power within your, your leadership status today, how you could really navigate through different stakeholders, different dynamics, so that you make sure you're gonna drive success journey and change transformation across different value streams and different teams and different stakeholders through understanding of your own leadership capabilities. So the phase number 2 or the step number 2 of the PMO MVM is scanning. So scanning is all about understanding the current reality. Scanning, scanning the dynamics, the key stakeholder, the strategy delivery. You need to understand what is really the real situation before you go designing or delivering any sort of solution. So I'm going to take you later through 6 legitimate, very critical 6 assessments you need to undertake to make sure you're driving business value. Step number 3, designing solution. So designing solution, we're going to design an MPV or a minimum viable progress service catalog or solution based on a root cause. So we're going to dig deep around, before jumping designing solution based on the symptoms, you need to design solution based on the underlying real cause rather than symptoms, so that this solution is going to remove the pain or the challenges forever. So step number 4 is planning your value delivery. So this is all about, planning for 90 days sprint of service delivery or value delivery. okay, within 90 days sprint or window, okay. And we, in this planning, you need to build or crafting an implementation roadmap for 1 year, where it has all the service offering, the solution, the business impact, the business value, the metrics to measure success, okay, the business metric, not the project metric. And finally, the step number 5 is launching and scaling. It's launching and scaling. You need to launch or deliver one single solution, and we're gonna build together today the executive value proof or proposition and the PMO value scorecard. Okay, so later we're gonna go through the PMO value scorecard during the workshop. However, for now, okay, let's jump in step 1. I give you just narrative elaboration and further details at high level, not that much. However, just to give you or to anchor the understanding or to have enough clarity about why building the PMO powerhouse leader is very crucial and very critical for the PMO leaders to be successful. Okay. So building the PMO powerhouse leader, as I said, is all about the spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional readiness, and all this kind of inner system capabilities. Think about it through a lens of a neuroscience or a cognitive speaking. So if you are not in harmony from the inside, you cannot be in harmony from the outside. So it's very critical to understand your current situation, your readiness, your spiritual, readiness is all about, for instance, why are you in this role? So you need to understand your why, your biggest purpose, and you need to understand the value proposition for the PMO. And most critically, it needs to be aligned with the biggest picture strategy. Okay. So, and what drives your PMO leadership? So it's all about you as a leader. What really drives your spiritual capabilities? Okay. And that anchor around understanding the why as the mission, to drive business value for the organization. However, when it comes to mental leadership pillar, okay, within the SMP, is all about you need to ask yourself question: do you have the mindset to challenge the status quo? Okay, do you have the mental resilience, the mental capabilities to perform best even during a very challenging and pressurized situation or not? However, the physical one, I believe energy is everything. So, and the PMO, transformation journey is not like a sprint journey. It's consistent value delivery, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, and forever. So think of the PMO function as a sustainable business function, same as any counterpart like a business development department or IT, okay, or finance department. So the PMO, oftentimes, when it started, it has to start by the business plan or a business case rather than a project charter, because a charter for a project, when the project is over, okay, when the project is over, the charter is over. So the PMO is really business-driven, sustainable function that really drive value. Okay, so you need to start by a business plan. So, however, the physical readiness is all about: are you operating at the energy your role demands? So it's all about having the stamina, the physical fitness, and to drive ongoing value. However, the emotional, which is the fourth pillar within the SMP or the Powerhouse Leadership Foundation for the PMO, is all about: do you have the emotional capabilities? Are you emotionally intelligent to navigate through the different key stakeholders? Okay. Do you have the ability how to drive, positive relationship, to build trust, and this is very crucial for your success, because the stakeholder either drain or support and buy, the service offering and support your journey to be successful. So it's a very crucial pillar across, the SMP leadership profile. However, all the pieces are pretty critical. It's very important. So what I realized over the last decade, most PMO transformation today has been failed, not because of the process, not because of they're not good of driving tool and template and processes and putting the right solution of the mandates. It's all about the leader wasn't ready to lead the change. All right. Yeah, just give me a sec. Step number 2. So scanning the organization. As I said, scanning the organization is pretty crucial and critical to understand the current reality, the current situation where you are today. Okay, before jumping and designing any solutions. So 6 assessment, stakeholder appetite, and GCC cultural context. What I mean by that? You need to run 6 diagnostic or 6 assessment across your PMO current state, current situation. So you need to understand the current GCC. I'm sorry to put GCC because I'm operating in the GCC or the MENA region. So it's very cultural dynamics that really affect the PMO adoption, buy-in, and support. So after you're assessing the current state, the current situation, and understanding the current dynamics within the GCC, okay, that really affect your the adoption. You need to map the stakeholder appetite. You need to understand who they are, those stakeholders, what they need. You need to understand their level of influence and appetite, for supporting a change initiatives the PMO gonna put in place. So mapping stakeholder appetite, you need to understand the champions, the blocker, and the bystanders. I mean, think about it, right? Lover, hater, and don't care. So you need to map all those kind of stakeholders. You put the right communication and engagement strategy to make sure you're bringing them into the fold and put so that you will be successful in driving the change with them. Lastly, you need to identify the organization strategy for now, okay? And this is simply speaking, after you undertake a holistic assessment across different or across the holistic value chain, strategy formulation, execution, and realization, okay? We will develop a PMO strategy for now, or a high-level PMO proposal or strategy recommendation, okay? That really documents the findings of those diagnostic assessment, okay, to the leadership, okay, to give them sense of high level. This is the reality, this is the situation, this is what we're gonna address as a PMO, all right? So, and the reason why you cannot really design the right PMO without first understanding the organizations you are designing it for, all right? So, when it comes to designing the right solution or design the right fit PMO solutions, and as I said before, when it comes to design, you need to design a service offering or service catalog of solutions based on a root cause, not the symptoms. So using root cause analysis to address the real problem, not symptoms, and you need to design your portfolio management approach, okay, that really support the holistic value chain, including a VBP, which is value proof path. I'm gonna dig deep dive on this kind of model later, and it's gonna be part of our workshop. So you will build an MPV, minimum viable progress service catalog, a maximum value, minimum friction. So high level quick wins that really easy to deliver and bigger enough for the leadership to be remembered. Then we're going to create a governance, a right side governance, okay, that really executive will actually use to drive action and decision and support your journey to be successful. So the value proof path, it's a portfolio prioritization or a portfolio visibility model, okay. This is your unquestionable tool for making the portfolio decisions, feasible and defensible at a board level or the governance board or steering committee, you name it, all right? All right, so we good so far, yeah? So when it comes to planning, you need to plan for a 90-day sprint of service offering, and you need to put a 12 months roadmap, okay, and a change management adoption, okay? So you need to put all these kind of 3 pieces together as a planning for your journey ahead of you. So first and foremost, you will build your 90-day sprint, okay? The 90-day, define where is your PMO survive year 2 or not. So the 90-day sprint cycle of planning is very crucial for success. So you need to develop a change adoption, or you need to put a strategy for change and communication with different key stakeholders to make sure they're really supporting your journey moving forward. That brings everyone with you through the journey. Mapping 12 months transformation roadmap tied to strategic outcomes. So You're going to build a 12 months roadmap. It has all the strategic service offering, the impact, the business value, the key stakeholder will be impacted, and the metric to show or to make sure you are really, or to tell you how success would look like, Then you create decision-ready proposal for the executive to sign off. So this is the time where you develop and you put together to the leadership a final PMO presentation or a recommendation, or let's say a proposal, where it has a documented pain points, solutions based on root cause analysis, okay, for them to prioritize and to approve. Okay, this is the 90-day MBV or spirit of solutions. This is the 12 months roadmap where it has all the solution, the capabilities, the business impact, the value, okay, and the metric to measure success. All has been articulated in one single presentation for the leadership to approve, to give you yes. Okay, then you go deliver or launching those solutions. Okay, however, you're not going to boil the ocean. You're not going to implement all of them in once. It's all about implementing one single solution, one on a time, in one 90-day sprint. So you're going to execute your launch playbook, early wins. So you're going to look for 2-3 maximum quick wins to build momentum, to drive the traction, to move the needle, to show the leadership the confidence in the PMO value. So we're going to implement together today through the workshop a weekly executive value proposition, okay, as a standing cadence, okay, to be communicated with the leadership, to show them, okay, where the PMO is standing, where is the PMO value, and so on. We're going to deploy a PMO value scorecard for ongoing performance feasibility, okay, and we're going to build this together today. So lastly, we're going to build an evolution roadmap to grow your PMO strategic influence. So when you deliver one single MBV, one single solution in one single quarter, you have built already 12 months roadmap where it has all the solutions and the service offering brutalized and ready for you. Is just to elevate, to pick another solution and you put it into action. Okay, and this is why when you scale and sustain. However, when it comes to sustain, there is a proven model I've been using for a decade. It's all about 4S. Start, save, shift, stop. So you got to look for a feedback from the key stakeholder and impact stream, guys. Okay, what is working, we'll keep it and repeat it. What is not working, we'll refine it or delete it. Okay, as simple as possible. So the PMOs that really survive are the ones I believe executive cannot imagine operating without them. And this is the goal for step number 5. All right. All right, guys. So now let's move into the workshop number 1, which we're gonna score your PMO value right now live. We're gonna spend like 20 minutes, and this is like an individual exercise. And let me put again the action toolkit, okay, where you need to look at the first section, which is PMO value or PMO value self-assessment. Simply speaking, it's a 5-dimension or 5 pillars need to be assessed. Okay, part of the the assessment or diagnostic assessment phase of the PMO MBV value model. So those dimensions are strategic alignment, delivery confidence, portfolio feasibility, stakeholder trust, and execution philosophy. I mean, there is a scale 1 to 5. You need to scale all those 5 dimensions or pillar. Again, is score 1 to 5. The total score is 25. So if you scale 1, that means not present. Okay. If you scale 2, that means this is the basic value for the PMO. 3, developing. 4, functional, and 5, leading. However, the overall score across the 5 dimensions, okay, which is out of 25, if the score across the 5 dimensions 5 to 10, that means your PMO is really at risk. If it is 11 to 15, developing, 16 to 20, functional, 21 to 25 is leading PMO. So let's spend like 15-20 minutes maximum. You have the sheet. I'm gonna put it again in the chat. We're gonna work on it together. Okay, you just be fair enough. score yourself against those 5 dimensions. We'll come back. If someone voluntarily would like to speak up and to tell us how much score he gained against each dimension and overall, okay? At the end, or the bottom line objective about this kind of PMO scorecard, this is a very critical and is very useful tool to help you to understand where the PMO value is leaking, where the value is visible, and what action need to be taken within 90 days to show value or to restore the confidence with the leadership. So it's all about your target score in 90 days out of 25, okay? And you need to put a PMO priority dimension to improve first. For instance, if you had realized after scoring yourself or the PMO against the 5 dimension, you realize the weakest, okay, dimension is the strategic alignment. All right, so what is the action or what is the PMO priority dimension you need to improve and take action on it today, which is strategic alignment. All right, guys, it's clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I don't see the, I cannot see the document that you are sharing.
The document, all right, so let me share it here in the, I'll put it in the chat first, very quick, okay? And at the same time, I'm gonna take you through, all of you guys, along with Fabio, you know, live here to understand the context so we can really work on it today together in 20 minutes maximum, all right? So just give me a sec, Fabio, please. I want to share it in the chat. Do you have access to the chat, Fabio?
Sorry?
Do you have access to the chat in Zoom here?
I don't see it.
I've sent it, you know. I've sent it in the chat, you know.
Let me see. Yeah, I can see now the chat, yes.
Okay, cool. So while you look at it, let me again.
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you.
Okay, pleasure. So do you see the Word file on the slide now?
Yes, now we can see it, yes.
Before, have you seen the slides? The slide was on? The PowerPoint before?
No, it wasn't on. But now it's on. I can see that your screen there.
It's okay, cool. Before, the slide wasn't on the screen?
Not for me.
All right. Ahmed Al-Houfi, what about you? The slide before it was on for you?
Yes, it was, Ahmed.
Gengish, thank you, I appreciate it. All right. So again, this is the workshop number 1. So it's all about the PMO value score assessment. So you're gonna assess the PMO value across 5 dimensions: strategic alignment, delivery confidence, portfolio feasibility, stakeholder trust, and executive philosophy. Okay. Simply speaking, for the dimension number 1, strategic alignment, Fabio.
Yes.
Does your PMO really has very clear strategic alignment? I mean, the PMO really support the organization top 3 priorities or not? You need to score yourself from 1 to 5. All right. In the delivery confidence, simply speaking, do executive trust the PMO to deliver projects on time, cost, budget, and scope consistently? The portfolio feasibility, can the leadership see or have full holistic feasibility across the portfolio pipelines? They see the status, they see the risk, the value, the strategic linkage or alignment in one single pager or view. All right. The stakeholder trust, do your key stakeholder actively involve your PMO in strategic decisions before they made? You know, so most of the time, the leadership, they really drive action and decisions in the absence of the PMO. That's why, or that simply mean they don't really trust the PMO. They don't really see value in the PMO. All right. Dimension number 5, executive philosophy. All right. Execution philosophy. Does your PMO accelerate the project delivery or not? Or does it really add more governance overhead and progressy that really is slow realizing the value or not? This is just like fairly goes through these 5 dimensions, score 1 to 5. And 5 to 10 means your PMO is really at risk. 11 to 15, that means your PMO is developing. 16 to 20, this is functional PMO. Okay. And there is a clear narrative explanation about all those 5 definitions. Leading, that means you became a strategic business partner and asset for the organizations. Okay. And the bottom line objective is you need to understand the current PMO dimension priority, where you have the weakest score. You need to put a target action plan within 90 days or a target score. So if you score 10, you might targeting, I need to score 20, 23 or 21 to be a strategic asset for the company rather than a PMO at risk. So you know what I'm saying, yeah? Any questions so far, guys? We good so far, yeah? Okay, let's take 15, 20 minutes. We'll be back. Yeah. Okay, guys. So have you done? Do we need more time or we cool?
It was just the first section, yeah?
Yeah, the first section, the PMO
Assessment.
value scorecard. Yeah,
Yes, yes. I
perfect.
think I'm ready, but I'm happy
Perfect.
to
Perfect.
wait.
Sure. خلاص. Can you just give us 2 minutes maximum to see the rest of the team, how they're progressing? So then we can just move on after 2 minutes, inshallah. But how is the score so far, Fabio? What is the most lowest or priority action need to take across the 5 dimension? I mean,
Yeah,
what is
the scoring is very low.
in which one?
Yeah, the scoring is very low in total, 7, and I'm assessing not just the last PMO I worked on or I led. I'm looking at the the number of PMOs that have run in the region and
All right.
and also before. And the lowest score is on the strategic alignment,
All right.
which is probably
So,
one of the most critical ones.
and overall, across the five, dimensions, how much the score you get?
In average, about 2. In
Mhm.
total, about 7.
No, if you look at the every dimensions, okay, for instance, the strategic alignment, you need to score in scale 1 to 5.
Yes, so that one, for
One,
example, my scoring for that was 1.
one. Okay, okay. The second pillar or second dimension for the delivery
Delivery
confidence,
confidence, 2.
uh 2. But fully feasibility,
The portfolio visibility, again, 2.
okay. Stakeholder trust,
1,
execution velocity,
1,
and overall across the 5 dimensions out of 25, how much you get?
7.
7. Fair enough. Fabio, this is not a performance review. It's a diagnostic. So it's all about assessing your current situation, where is the value is leaking, where the value is feasible, and what action need to be taken to turn the situation around. So the goal is to see clearly where are you today, so that you can decide where to focus first. So scoring what is actually true. This is what is all about. You have to be transparent. It's not a performance review. Just score the current reality, not what you intend to build. All right.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough. Thank you,
yeah.
Fabio. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I have a question here for you. I'm gonna put on the strategy hat. So
Okay.
there is always a strategy department, strategy office in the organization. They are the ones that are looking at the strategy plan, the organization's mission, vision, strategic objectives, and then it cascades onto the different departments, and also the initiatives become visible, and then the projects that get approved to support those strategic objectives. Yes, so that
Yeah.
alignment of those projects that are approved to go in the portfolio, and the process for approving those projects to go into the portfolio is something that is not really a function of the PMO, or the PMO supports that. Yeah.
You mean you're asking for the mandate or the function the PMO
Yes.
operating? Uh-huh.
So the question here is the alignment of when you say strategic alignment, are we talking about the strategic alignment of the projects that the PMO supports during the selection process of the projects, or
Yes.
is the strategic alignment of the KPIs that have been
Cascaded from
given
the vision,
for
mission,
for
and
the exactly for the strategy department
yeah,
cascade.
yeah, I understand. I totally understand your question. So what you're saying, just you're unfeasible. Can you just show up live, because I would love to have sort of like more engaging. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. This kind of the most critical areas. The PMO could drive unshakable, undeniable business value is supporting the holistic value chain. What you're talking about is really supporting the strategic planning, where the Pulse scorecard mapping, where the
Yes.
PMO support the strategy, the front end, before even this strategy has been translated into action when it comes to strategy execution. So it's all about lies back to the PMO mandate and the PMO value proposition and the PMO why. Okay.
Yes.
So I believe it's very crucial for the PMO. And this is the gap, by the way. I have seen the pattern across organization, government companies. They really miss the intake or discovery phase. What that means, before even jumping in approved projects or developing a project charter, there is no business case, there is no intake process. Simply speaking, the intake process or discovery phase is all about putting a business case for the project. Okay, it's all about answering the three questions: what and why and how. What the project will deliver, why the project will drive. So it's all about the why linked to the strategic objective of the company, of the goal the company gonna drive. So having a business case in place at the intake process is substantially legitimate, is very vital and crucial for the PMO to drive value. So after having a solid business case, answering the what and why and how is putting the business metric that really tell the leadership or the sponsor of the PMO or the initiative how we are successful to driving the project success based on those metric has been articulated in the business case. The second piece of the intake process, Fabio, is the prioritization. There is no solid prioritization logic, okay, that really help the leadership or the PMO to prioritize, to put sort of like a mapping. Those the strategic link, high level strategic alignment, and those the initiative gonna drive the needle and help us to achieve the bottom line objective. Okay, so the gap, most of the time PMOs, they start jumping in the strategic execution side, building armies of the project manager tool and template and processes and governance, where they miss a very crucial areas and very important to show value quickly, which is a strategy front. It's a strategy formulation where it's about the business planning and the mapping and cascading the Pulse scorecard and so on, putting KPIs at the strategic and operational level. And the strategy realization, when the project is over, you need to measure value. So you need to ask yourself one single question, and this is lies and goes back to the metric you have articulated and put clearly in the business case. Does the value has been articulated in the business case is realized 3 months, 6 months, 9 months after the project is over and the PM is no longer around? So the strategic alignment, what I'm trying to say, is very crucial, and it's all about, does the PMO work? Whatever service offering or solution the PMO present to the table, does this value align with the biggest picture strategy? It has clear alignment or not? This is a question. You need to score yourself 1 to 5 against this dimension. The delivery confidence, however, when it comes to the strategic execution, you're putting idea and a mission and a vision and a goal and strategic priorities in the strategic planning phase. So when it comes to action, through putting projects and program into implementation, does the executive trust the PMO? They're going to deliver projects on time, cost, quality, to realize value quickly and to make sure the vision or the strat has been realized or not. The portfolio feasibility, can the leadership see or have a holistic portfolio view of the project status, risk, delivery confidence, the ROI? And it has to be in investment language, a business-driven language, The stakeholder trust is all about, do your key stakeholder actively involved in the PMO to driving strategic decision or not? So this is very crucial and very substantial, legitimate key decisions or assessment need to ask yourself to make sure you're driving value to the leadership, within 90 days. Okay. So, and even the execution velocity, does your PMO accelerate delivery? Does it create process overhead? So you need to understand, or before driving or putting any sort of solution or service offering into action, you need to ask yourself, does this solution move the needle forward, drive a frictionless environment? Does really adding noise or progress? If it's really more noise and more waste, you need to think carefully about it, stop it or delete it. If it is really driving the company to accelerate the strategy realization and strategy delivery, you're good to go. Yeah. So this PMO scorecard is a healthy assessment to understand where you are today, across those 5 dimensions, to help you to understand where is the PMO value is visible to the leadership, where the value is leaking, and what need to be act-faced. I'm going to show you later. We're going to put sort of like a 90-day sprint plan, an action plan, okay, where you can drive tangible value and to restore and to show value and trust to the leadership. Hopefully, eventually, you're going to earn and keep your seat at the strategic table. So we're going to, hey, Regu, how are you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. Thanks. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit late, but I'm here. Just good.
Yeah, totally understand. No worries. Good to see you. Good to see you live. I appreciate it. So today we are celebrating the International PMO Day. So it's not my day. It's all about the PMO transformation leader across the GCC and even globally. So
perfect. Yeah,
it's really to share wins and success and breakthroughs. And today we have sort of like a master class, 2 workshops. So just you show up in the right time. We're assessing live the PMO value scorecard. So it's as you can see in the screen, 5 dimensions. The PMO. Need to assess their value, where the value is leaking, where is visible, and where need to be acted in 90 days. So from strategic alignment, delivery confidence, execution velocity, stakeholder trust, and the portfolio pipeline feasibility. So scoring in a scale 1 to 5. However, there is a total scoring around 25 average. So simply speaking, if you score around, this is not performance review. This is like something just, reflecting or assessing the current reality of the PMO. So if you score 5 to 10, that means your PMO at risk. That means immediate action need to be taken. Budget and credibility are at risk. All right. So, however, if you score between 11 to 15, that means your PMO function is really developing. Foundation exists, but the value is inconsistent and under-communicated. So oftentimes you need to take care of your PMO. You need to own it. You need to communicate it. Okay. You need to show value and as you go. The functional one, however, this is when you score between 16 to 20. That means the delivery is okay, is well, but the executive trust is building, but you need to anchor it down. You need to lock it in. All right. However, if you score average across the 5 dimensions or the 5 pillars between 21 to 25, that means you have a leading PMO. That PMO has been become a strategic assets. The PMO is really sought out for decisions, not just update.
Oh, that's really good. Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And I believe that the main objective for this kind of assessment of the PMO is you need to put target score in 90 days, okay, out of 25, okay, and you need to understand where you are from a value and portfolio feasibility standpoint, and you need to understand the PMO priority dimensions to improve first. All right. So, all right. So you see the screen, guys, so far?
Yeah. For me, it's all good.
All right. Cool. Okay, I see. So what do you see now? The portfolio feasibility and executive level, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So this is before my friend Reggie, we have showed them, or we start by the PMO. The 5-step PMO minimum viable progress value model is all about business-driven 5-step framework to drive sustainable business value. It starts by building the foundation, scanning the organization to understand the current reality. And step number 3, designing the service offering and designing a right fit business model and operating model for the PMO. Okay, it's all about building one sprint cycle of minimum viable progress solution or service catalog. And you put a plan at the planning phase where 90-day sprint plan and 1-year implementation roadmap where it has all the solution capabilities, service offering, the business impact value, and the metric, how we're going to measure success. And eventually at the step number 5 is all launching and scaling. You need to put sort of like executive value proof and a scorecard. Okay. So now we finish together the PMO value scorecard. All right. In the workshop number 1. So we're going to have 2 workshops. All right. Which has been over now. Next, we're going to walk through the portfolio feasibility and executive level. And this is a model I've been designed is a proven framework for portfolio feasibility. And this is where it lies. This is within the design phase. Okay. When you design right fit solution for the PMO, putting the right service catalog and the solution based on the root cause analysis of the real symptoms has been undertaken or realized at the assessment phase. This is when the PMO makes the portfolio decision feasible, justified, and the principle at the board level or governance board or steering committee, you name it. Okay, it's a 4 steps. It start by capturing. Okay, then it goes to scoring, then visualizing, then proving.
Prove it, yeah.
All right. So when it comes to capturing is all about you have to document every initiative in a single one-pager portfolio register. Where is the status, the budget, the risk to delivery, and strategic alignment or linkage of this kind of initiative. All right. So the second phase or the second pillar of the VPP is scoring. So you need to apply the VPP scoring matrix, where its value is delivered against the resources consumed versus the strategic priority. And there is a one sheet. If you look at the toolkit I've shared in the chat, I'm going to put it again for you. So because in a bit we're going to jump into workshop number 2, which is really aligned with the VPP, the value proof path. Just give me a sec. I'm sorry. The toolkit. All right. So.
Oh, okay.
You need to capture, you need to score, you need to visualize. When it comes to visualization, you need to translate the score, the PMO value scorecard we have undertaken before in a one single pager executive view. So like a portfolio view dashboard, one single pager for the leadership to have sense of clarity. Where is the initiative? Where is the status? Where is the budget? Where is the strategic linkage? Okay. And, and the reason why you need to present on a weekly cadence to the leadership this value proposition for the leadership to help them or to show them you're driving tangible business value. Simply speaking, if you put it in a dashboard, you need to put the initiative. This is the strategic objective, okay, or the alignment of the initiative. This is the status, and simply you show on track, off track. This is on hold, complete kind of legend, okay, and the budget. All right, and the percentage of completion, and you need to put the risk. If there is high risk, that means high escalation required. Medium risk, that you need to monitor closely. And if you need to put low risk, that means you need just to manage and to make sure you bring it back into track. And the value delivered, this is very critical. So you need to look at the critical paths in every single initiative, and you need to put sort of like recommendation. And recommendation, simply speaking, looking at this dashboard or the value proof framework is all about you need either to continue or to accelerate or to pause or to stop this initiative. So if this one project within this portfolio dashboard, it's really delivering value and maintaining current resources and timeline. So if there is a value in place, the project is really on track and delivering value, simply continue. So if the project has a high level of strategic impact, so you need to increase the resources, you need to put more resources into the project, and you need to reprioritize to make it high prioritized initiative to deliver it faster. For instance, if you need to drive market share or you need to improve the gross profit margin, so this could be a priority for the company. So it has high level strategic impact. So this is where you need to accelerate, and this is where you need to put on the recommendation pager of the dashboard. Another pillar is on the recommendation side, you need to pause. So if there is high level risk of the project to drive the intended goal or the ROI, so or the risk is very high, okay, so you need to pause it or to reassess before the next period, all right, or the next, let's say, cadence of putting this kind of report, maybe weekly or monthly, quarterly, whatever the cadence, you often put this kind of portfolio dashboard in front of the C-suite executive. The last recommendation, you need to stop. And when you stop initiative, when the value is not justified, so you need to reallocate resources to a higher priority initiatives. So the 4 recommendations, either to continue, to accelerate, to pause, or to stop or terminate. Okay, and in his and the value proof path objective or one single goal is, is really to be a standing proof for the leadership that the PMO is really moving the needle, driving the strategy forward, not a paper. So in every single VBP dashboard, you need to put the key achievements and you need to highlight clearly the key risks require executive decisions. Okay, and you need to put ask or decision ask to the leadership. All right. So as you can see in the sheet, the PMO action toolkit put together in the chat. So simply speaking, the value proof path, it's one pager portfolio feasibility tool presented at executive session at the standing agenda. Could be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, showing them the value the PMO is driving consistently. All right. We good so far?
Yeah, we're all good. All good.
All right. Thank you. Okay, I appreciate it. All right. So, Taha, Abdul Wahab, how are you doing, brother? You all right? I see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Ahmed. I'm very happy to join with you in this very useful session and master class.
Yeah,
And my question now is big question about PMO. Some owner or some client, or let us name the sponsor of the
All right.
PMO, they don't know exactly the services which they need exactly, and
Okay.
this is also affect their support for the PMO work and function like this.
Okay.
And also we decided to, as PMO team, to make a small plan as quick wins to
Amazing.
gain some support from sponsor
All right.
about this, and try like rolling wave to understand their services exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of major issues or problems I think face success of PMO.
Yeah, for sure.
Besides this, also some resistance of change, as you know,
Yeah.
some companies there is a culture and there is old systems. This like change, and this change there is resistance, and if there is no enough support from sponsor about it, also it will be big barrier for success of BMO. This is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I think. And also, this small exercise, I think we score like 14 from 25.
Okay. Amazing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
functional, developing.
Yeah.
But as I think is, maybe we will try to increase it to 20 from 25 to be functional at least, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much indeed, Taha. This is a very good question. So I believe this is one of the common challenges and the pain point the PMOs often, encounter, and simply speaking, Taha, one of the biggest mistake, and I've seen the button across different, organizations, public-private consulting, it's they jump into assuming they know the answer or the challenges for the key stakeholder. And you don't need, simply speaking, look at it from this lens. Give them what they want before giving them what you assume they need. So without assessing the current realities, without assessing the current situation, without understanding the current cultural dynamics and politics within the company, okay, you're gonna operate in a dark. So even one of the, as you said, the PMO sponsorship is very crucial and very critical for a PMO success. However, one of the key assessment, even you need to assess the key stakeholder. I mean, the sponsor. Does the sponsor, you need to ask him this question very well, and you need to even to assess yourself. Okay, put assessing yourself aside. I'm going to come back to it later. However, when it comes to assessing the sponsor himself or herself, you need to understand, does the sponsor has the leadership capabilities or the change leadership capability? Has he before drive any sort of successful business transformation journey? Does he has the capacity or the mandate to support the PMO moving forward? And one of the biggest mistake, the PMO assume the sponsor, he know how they can support them. Simply speaking, the sponsor, they don't know how the PMO will drive value. So look at it from this standpoint. Help them to help you. You need to educate them. You need to help them to help them, guys. This is what I need from you. This is the decisions I need from you. This is the support I need from you. And you need to develop even sort of like a racing matrix. Who shall do what across different service offerings. So after you done the assessment, understand all the current situation, the challenges, the gap, and the opportunities for the PMO to drive value, you need to help the PMO sponsor. Okay, this is the PMO value, this is the why of the PMO, this is the current situation, and this is the current reality, and this is the findings. However, for you to support me, I need from you to understand, first of all, you need to understand his current leadership profile. You need to understand his influence in the company. Does he has a positive relationship? Does he has the power, the authority, the mandate to support the PMO? If there is any sort of risk and issues or challenges down the line, the PMO leader cannot really remove it or remediate it himself. So you need to understand, you need to assess, and there is sort of like assessment sheet for the key stake for the for the sponsor himself. I would be more than happy to share it with you later at the end of this session, or later, if you could comment DM directly, I will share with you very useful resources to make sure the sponsor is really supporting the journey, understand the PMO value proposition, and is all about understanding when it comes to the stakeholders. You need to understand the WIFM, what they need from me from their perspective. Okay, you need to understand who's we're gonna touch base this one. The second slide, I believe we're gonna talk more about mapping the stakeholder appetite. You need to understand who they are, what they need, so that you go meet them where they are. So, and most critically, you need to understand or map them across 4 quadrants of influence and appetite. Okay, so once you understand who they are, what they need, you need to meet them where they are, and it's easily you could really put the right communication and engagement strategy so that you could really win them around, and you're ensuring they're supporting your journey to be successful. I hope I answered your question, Taha.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure. Appreciate it. All right. So I believe Taha question will drive us to the next section, which is workshop number 2, which is really mapping your stakeholder appetite. We're gonna take like maximum 15 minutes on this one. So you need to know who they are and who's with you and who's against you. And as I said before, there is 4 types of key stakeholders. Some of them the blocker, the champions, and bystanders, or they don't care. Think about it about this in this lens: lover, hater, they don't care. Each of them, there is so easy a proven blueprint and strategy or framework I'm going to share with you today. How you're going to communicate, how you're going to drive a positive relationship, how you're going to win them around. But you need to understand who they are, and you need to understand their level of power, influence, and appetite or readiness for absorbing and driving the change with you. Before I jump into mapping the stakeholder appetite workshop, I would love even to add, people that are not resistant to change. This is a shocking fact, People resistant to change happen to them. So think about it from a lens or a cognitive, standpoint. If someone wasn't on your arm, the first things you're gonna pull back, because this is survival. The human intuition or gut feeling, you will pull back your feet. And what I'm saying, what I mean by this, If you tell them, okay, guys, this is the new way of doing things. This is our new templates or process. You have to deal with it. This is our new norm. Deal with it. Trust me, you're gonna hit resistance over and over. But likely, if you change your approach, if you change your mindset, if you change the way you communicate, and you bring them into the fold, you understand the BFM, what in it for me from the perspective, and you understand the the most important priorities for them, and you're giving them before you're giving them, you give them what they want before giving them what you assume they need. So it's all about partnership. It's all about trust, building trust and building a relationship with them. Okay, meeting them where they are. Trust me, they likely gonna support your journey. Okay, and even if you let them take the credit of the PMO journey, okay, as long as you drive the mission, you drive success with them and through them, you are winning. And simply speaking, this is not your PMO. This is your PMO, their PMO. When you put a self-service offering and solution for who? For them. So if you drive a solution, they don't need it, you're just wasting your time. This is a noise, or this is a waste. So you're wasting time building solutions and template and processes, and no one even asked for it. So it's very crucial. You need to go back. Let me go back very quick. You need to build your foundation. You need to understand your leadership capabilities, your leadership readiness, how you're going to navigate through different culture, different dynamics of key stakeholders. You need to understand your spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional readiness. And you need to scan or to assess the current reality, so that you are not going to developing solution in a dark without understanding where you are. So scanning is very crucial. You need to assess the holistic value chain. And what I mean by this value chain, we don't need to sit or developing solution on the strategy execution. You need to cover the holistic value chain, supporting the strategy formulation, strategy execution, and strategy realization. And most of the time, I've seen the pattern over and over again. One of the most critical areas, the PMO that can drive undeniable, unquestionable business value, when they focus on the strategy front end, which is strategy development or formulation, as Fabio said, the strategic planning, the policy scorecard, and mapping is very crucial for the PMO to drive quick value. Okay, and the strategy realization when the project is over and the project managers are not really around anymore. So where the PMO, they can come in, they need to measure the business value. What has been articulated in the business case has been realized over 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 1 year. And the gap oftentimes I've seen across different clients I serve over the last couple of decades, they miss the strategic front end. They jumping into project initiation or building a charter. Even some companies, they don't have a charter. They jump into straight away into planning, where they miss a critical phase. I call it the intake. The intake is all about prioritization of those initiatives, mapping them, and putting a business case, answering 3 legitimate questions: what and why and how, before approving the projects and nominate a project manager to kick it off. So we good, yeah, so far? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So where we are now, okay, so mapping your stakeholder appetite. Just give me a sec to see where. So you need to understand your key stakeholder, where they are, who they are, what they need. You need to understand the level of appetite and level of influence, okay, so that you will be successful in the journey. So either they're gonna buy and support you, or either drain your progress and your performance, so you'll be failing a PMO. So I'm gonna give you the tactics, the blueprints, okay, to understand where they are, who they are, and what sort of like an engagement or communication strategy that really win them around. All right. So the screen is visible, yeah. All right. Okay. So you need to rate or to map those stakeholders in 2 dimensions. As I said, influence and the appetite. And influence meaning how much power they have over your PMO mandate and resources, all right? The appetite, on the other hand, is how often or how open they are to the PMO transformation agenda, all right? So the appetite is all about their readiness, their appetite, and willing to support your PMO journey to be successful. However, the influence, how much they really, or how much power they have or control against your PMO mandate and resources. So you need to map them across 4 dimensions or 4 quadrants. So if they have high influence and high appetite, those are your champions. And the communication or what action need to be taken to win them around, you need to engage them, you need to empower them, and you need to create, co-create the solution and the service offering with them. One of the biggest gap or one of the biggest challenges the PMO drive against the PMO is driving solution alone. However, you need to co-create with them, build it together, and give them sense of, guys, you own it, you're part of the journey, okay? And which is the case, which it is, it's their PMO. So those are strong allies. You need to involve them in the decisions, and you need to keep them close all the time. Simply speaking, just put their name or initials, okay? High influence, high appetite, okay? Now you know who they are. However, there is a decision makers, those who has high influence on the PMO while low appetite of the PMO. So what you need to do, you need to inform them, you need to educate, okay? And you need to win them over. Those are the most crucial or most critical groups. You need to convert them, okay? So your PMO will be safe, trust me. So this is very crucial, they're very important. You need to win them around, you need to champion with them, you need to convert them. So the PMO will be, trust me, will be more than successful. However, if those key stakeholders, they low influence and they have low appetite, okay, for the PMO, those are the bystanders, or those are, they don't care. They don't care about the PMO. You need to monitor them. You need to, however, you don't need to invest much energy and time and focus on them. Leave them, but keep them informed and reduce any sort of barriers and friction between them. Also name with their names, so to understand who they are, okay? The last stakeholder group, those are having low influence and high appetite. Those are advocates. What that means? Those are advocates. You need to use their energy to build the momentum, to drive the needle, move traction, and you need to involve them physically, So you need to promote, you need to amplify the relationship, and you need to leverage them to support and as an advocate and support to the PMO journey. All right. So what is the goal for this kind of stakeholder appetite matrix or mapping? You need to top or to list down 5 key stakeholder engagement action. Now you understand who they are, where they are across the 4 quadrants. Okay. You need to put an action, or sorry, engagement action. Okay. How you're going to communicate with them, by when, and you need to put the owner. I believe the owner is PMO leader, the one who's driving the show. So we're going to spend like just 2 minutes or 5 minutes maximum. Look at the PMO toolkit in the chat. All right. Think of those 4 quadrants across high influence, influence and appetite. Just name who are they from your PMO or your organizations. Who are the champions? Who could possibly an advocates? Who could be a decision makers? And who could be don't care or bystanders? You know what I'm saying? You understand who they are, where they sit or where they are. Then you take action. You put engagement strategy, how I'm going to communicate with them. And I share it with you. It's easily. Champions, you need to engage, you need to empower, you need to co-create every single solution and service with them. The advocates, those the initial champion, the support, the advocates for your journey, you need to leverage and promote their support. The bystanders, or those who don't care about the PMO, maybe they haven't seen a PMO value before, they don't trust the PMO, they're doing the PMO and they don't care. So those you need to monitor them, you need to minimize friction. However, the last one is the decision makers. This is very important. You need to inform, keep them informed, keep them educated, and you need to win them around, because those, trust me, if you convert them into your side, those, they're going to be the champions as well. They're going to support your journey, and your PMO will be safe forever. All right, guys, 2 minutes maximum to go through the listing 5 keys, maximum 5 stakeholder. Okay. Is it clear, the exercise or the workshop? Or any question?
It's clear. Yeah.
All right, Fabius, thank you. Okay, I think we can move, yeah? We good to proceed? Just say yes in the chat if we agree. All right, thank you, Taha. Appreciate it. Okay, Fabio. Okay, then now let's go to the building your 90-day PMO value sprint. Okay. And the reason why I often stick on a 90 days, most of the time the leadership and the PMO sponsor, they're gonna lose face and they're gonna block off very quick, maximum in 90 days or 3 months, if you haven't showed them tangible business value. So either you're gonna position your PMO as the administrative head, cost center, red tape, or either you're gonna show them or position yourself from invisible to indispensable, and you transform the PMO into strategic business engine or value engine that drive unquestionable and sustainable business value. So I'm going to give you the blueprints, the framework from day 1 to day 90, what sort of action need to be taken, okay, so that you're going to drive value within 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, and forever. Unquestionably, undeniably, okay? I've been using it for a decade and it's really working. So you need, first of all, you need to diagnose, you need to assess, the current reality and the current situation, okay? So simply speaking, you need to understand where you are and what is broken from a value standpoint. So you need to complete the PMO MVM, or the PMO Minimum Viable Progress Value Model, a business-driven 5-step framework I showed you earlier at the masterclass. You need to do self-assessment to where you are. You need to undertake the PMO Value Scorecard assessment, okay, across the 5 dimensions. You need to run a stakeholder appetite mapping, and we done in the previous section. Then you identify top 3 strategic gaps. Just 3 major big pain points. If you solve them, you're gonna drive big bang, or you show big value to the leadership, and you're gonna present diagnostic to the leadership. Okay, this is the assessment finding, this is situation, this is the current reality. Okay, in the action sheet tool I've shared with you in the chat, okay, just put your, maybe now or later, your specific action need to be taken in a phase 1, which is day 1 to day 30. You need to undertake diagnostic across the current situation. Okay. However, in phase 2, you need to design building your MBV service catalog. Okay, just minimum viable progress, one single solution, or maximum, a solution easy to deliver and maximum enough or big enough for the leadership to be remembered. Okay, so you build the MBV service catalog, you design the governance model, okay, a right size governance, okay, and we're gonna draft a business case for the PMO, then creating phase value proof path. And the value proof path I've shown you before, like 4 stages, okay. So what action need to be taken on the design phase, and when it comes to delivering from day 61 to 90, is all about launching or building or delivering 2 to 3 maximum high feasible quick wins, very quick wins, all right, to move the needle, to show traction, to drive momentum, and deploy PMO value scorecard, all right. So, and you need to present the phase EVP, executive value proof, to the leadership, okay, and secure 1-year implementation commitment. So remember when we talk about the 1-year roadmap, where it has all the service offering, solution, and business value and impact, and the metric to show value. Okay, so this is going to be your 90 day action plan that really prove sustainable business value. Underneath every single phase, let's say within diagnostic, designing, and delivering, you need just to put day 9 for diagnostic. I mean, you need to put my day 30 success look like, my day 60 success look like, and my day 90 success look like. So you need to understand how success would look like within 30 days, within 2 months, or 60 days, and within 90 months. Within 90 days or a quarter. So 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you need to understand how would success look like, what sort of business metric need to be in place to measure the success. All right. So any question within this 90-day value sprint?
No questions.
No,
All right.
we're good. Good.
Oh, good. All right. Okay. And you need to put underneath this kind of 90-day sprint value or value sprint, you need to put the person you will share the 90-day result. Maybe the PMO sponsor, you need to keep them involved. Taha, as you said, the PMO sponsor, initially you need to understand his change leadership capabilities, his WIFM alignment, okay, and change transformation capabilities, his support, and you need to educate. And because likely the case, he's not really understanding how the PMO gonna drive value. And the reason why they bring a PMO transformation leader to drive the value and to show them how they're gonna drive value. So the PMO who will drive the show, he will take them through, the planning, the scanning, the designing, the planning, and launching and scaling. So the PMO leader role is to educate and to support them, or look at it from a lens of helping them to help you, right? So you need to communicate with them 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, result, to keep them involved and engaged as an advocate and decision support for their leadership journey. All right. So I've shared with you, and I'm going to share with you again. There is a recording for the session. So what you have today, you have the PMO value assessment, assessing your PMO dimensions, 5 dimensions, as I said before, to benchmark your PMO today and to track progress monthly. Okay. It's all about understanding the PMO value, where it's visible, leaking, and what action needs to be taken. And we touch the value proof path model or portfolio model. I've shared the template with you. It's all in the, by the way, in the PMO action tool kit sheet. I put it in the chat. Okay, so it's one pager of the portfolio feasibility, ready to present to the leadership executive meetings weekly or monthly. If you like if you like to take it to the leadership on a monthly basis, simply speaking, you need just to, to tell them the status of the, first of all, you need to map the 5 dimension of scorecard, and you need to map the stakeholder appetite, and you need at the end on a weekly cadence, simply tell them this is the total initiatives. Okay, those on track, those at risk, those off track, and this is the total portfolio value. All right, as portfolio summary. On a weekly cadence, you could just give them is one simple pager around this week the PMO delivered this one. This week the PMO prevented or resolved this issue. Next week the PMO will focus on, and this decision or the decision we need from the leadership is. So you need to ask every single reporting cadence, okay, when it comes to the executive value proposition or EVP, cadence with the leadership, you need to ask them. If you need the support, ask it clearly. All right. So, and
Ahmed, I have a quick question.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, can you share some examples of what kind of executive value proposition we can show at the end of 90 days, quick wins? Because I believe it would be a long-term path wherein they would also, it all depends on the adoption as well. If you really want to show some value at the end of 90 days.
Again, tell me the question in slow motion. You don't need to rush it.
Okay, sure. So can you share some examples of quick wins which you mentioned that they can have at the end of 90 days?
The quick wins, Gengish, yeah? I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrongly. I'm sorry. So, simply speaking, after you need to follow the 5 steps. You cannot really jump designing or putting solution or quick wins in front of the leadership before understanding the current reality and the current situation, and spotting the real challenges and the pain point. So your focus is focusing on one of the biggest challenges and the pain point that really drive the biggest bang of the buck. Okay, you're not gonna boil the ocean. You just gonna put one pot of water in the stove. Okay, so when you undertaking or assessing the current situation, you're gonna drive or you're gonna bring the key challenges, the pain point in front of the leadership, and before you put it into the leadership, you need to undertake sort of like a root cause analysis. Level 5, deep why this is happening, till to hit the real underlying challenge rather than solving problem for the symptoms. So once you identify the biggest challenges and pain point, small enough to deliver within one single sprint cycle, big enough to be remembered in the leadership mind, just deliver 2 or 3 maximum within one single quarter. You got what I'm saying? Even the planning, you're gonna plan a 90 days MPV, minimum viable progress, 2 to 3 maximum solution or service offering, okay, within one single quarter. Did I answer the question, or I lose traction? Or,
yeah.
Huh?
No,
Yeah.
it answers to an extent. I was just wondering whether in 90 days, what kind of what is the executive value we can showcase, because I believe it depends a lot on on adoption as well.
The
So
adoption side of the picture, Jengish, is totally different. The adoption, this is the critical component of the PMO success value. Without having the key stakeholder buying and supporting your journey, without putting the right adoption or the right engagement framework in place, you need to understand who they are, what they need, and the level of influence and appetite. Because eventually, this is not your PMO; it's their PMO. When you sit, and why, I tell you why. One of the key rationale for undertaking an assessment or diagnosing the current reality with the key stakeholder, two reasons. Number one, when you go meeting them where they are and listen to them twice as you speak, okay, and you're gonna uncover the real challenges and pain point verbatim in their words. You're gonna build trust, okay. You're gonna build a positive relationship with them because you engage them, you co-create. First, you listen to them to spot their business challenges and pain point. You give them the sense, guys, I listen to you, I see you, I respect you, I hear you, I see your problem, and this is your problem. And later, when you build the strategy for now or the final presentation or proposal to the leadership, where it has all the problem and the solutions based on the root cause, you have to put it in their words. And there is a framework. I'm gonna part of the portfolio, but value portfolio path is this one. It's a proven communication framework. It's all about this is the challenge, this is the pain point, this is the service, okay? This is the impact, this is the business value, this is the metric to show success.
okay, got it.
Yeah. So you cannot really drive value in a dark. Assessing the current situation, building relationship with them, trust them, and build the trust, and mapping them across the across the four quadrants of stakeholder influence and appetite mapping. And yeah, and one of the biggest challenges, you can't drive that value very quickly, Jengish, you know where? As I said, in the strategy front end, strategy development or strategy formulation. One of the biggest value you can drive when you start by portfolio prioritization. Most of the clients I've served as a PMO leader, they don't have intake process. They don't have a structured portfolio logic or prioritization framework in place. They don't have a business case for projects. They start jumping into projects, planning or initiation without understanding the why or the what. And I don't blame them. Most of the time, the PM, the project managers or program managers, they haven't been part of the strategy discussion. They haven't part of the strategic planning. The business case development or prioritization has been happen in the strategy front end, while the projects or program manager wasn't in that kind of meeting or discussion, because this is high level strategic, which is wrong. The PMO leader, they should bring those PMs, because this is an obvious disconnect. And this is one of the biggest gap, the PMO falling short, because there is obvious disconnect between strategy formulation and day-to-day implementation. The strategy has been drafted there in one island, and it hasn't been communicated, or the strategy execution has been implemented in a different island. So this kind of disconnect between strategy formulation and strategy implementation, one of the key rationale of the PMO failure. So the more you bridge the gap between the two, the likely the success of the PMO to be. Yeah. Okay, so one of the bonuses today for today masterclass, it's complementary one-to-one diagnostic session. So this is going to be with me exclusively for those who has been showing up live today, celebrating the PMO International Day for 2026. So the PMO value diagnostic is all about 7 to 10 days maximum assessment to the current PMO value from a portfolio standpoint, is to understand or to spot where is the value is leaking, where the value is visible, and what need to be acted, okay, in 90 days. So eventually there is sort of like a structured action plan or roadmap that it has a prioritized, reality of the pain point and what need to be acted for them. And why this is very, very crucial for a PMO transformation leader is all about restoring and building the confidence back again with the leadership. Because oftentimes the leadership, they perceive the PMO as a cost center and red tape and overhead, instead of like a PMO that really driving a value engine or a strategic business asset. Okay, it's all about perception or the positioning the PMO in the right direction and supporting the holistic strategy of value chain, if you will. So before we leaving today, this PMO executive value scorecard or diagnostic is a private 90-minute maximum diagnostic session with me. So exclusively for the International PMO Day, who has joined us today, showing live, showing for them and investing in this kind of masterclass or workshop. So we map the PMO current position, okay, identifying the highest impact transformation actions need to be taken for the leadership to follow through, and to give you a prioritized 90 days action plan or roadmap is specific and map to your current context in the organization. All right. So 3 options. Option 1 is all about diagnosing and helping you to understand the current situation, the current reality, where is the value leak gap, and where is the value feasible. Okay. And the option B is all about full diagnostic plus full comprehensive report that's showing the current reality and the current evidence through a final debrief or meeting with the key stakeholder and the sponsorship of the PMO, okay, to restore the confidence back in the PMO value. However, the option 3 is all about diagnostic and 90 days action map, sort of like credit of option 1 and P on top of that. So simply speaking, if this is really something meet where you are in your PMO transformation journey, okay, so I would be more than happy to message me directly in LinkedIn or just email me in jadarab@runpmo consulting, which is my email. And one last thing I would love to say, the PMO that proves its value gets the seat at the strategic leadership table, while the PMO that does not get the budget cut, right? So you have the framework, you have the tools, okay, and you have the plan. We've done the PMO value scorecard assessment. We undertake the mapping the stakeholder against the appetite and the level of influence, and we understand the 90 days action plan, what you need to do from day 1 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, and what sort of action need to be taken, and how what success would look like underneath each phase of designing, diagnostic, and delivering. So thank you so much indeed. A pleasure having you all. If there is any sort of question or any final message or comment, I would be more than happy to have it before we wrap up. And yeah, I believe that's it for today. Guys, I appreciate it. Pleasure having me.
Thanks, Ahmed. Hope you'll be sharing this deck.
Yeah, okay, all right, for sure. I'm gonna there is sort of recording. It's gonna be in place as well, so I would be more than happy. Yeah, I could share with you the slide as well. No worries.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Fabio. Good to see you.
Good to
live.
see you.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, my friend. See ya.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, مع السلامة. Thank you. Thank you, Taha. Thank you, Ahmed.